Hello everyone, Darius Skybound here. Today I'm going to do something a little different, a new segment that I'd like to call Around the Rumor Mill. So what we're going to be talking about are things related to the development of Final Fantasy XIV. Information, our fears, our hopes, our thoughts, things that just relate around the development. So for this time, we're going to go over something that's probably pretty close to everyone else, the pandemic. The thing that's happened all throughout 2020 is still going on and has in fact delayed some of Final Fantasy XIV. We're going to talk about the impacts it's had for Final Fantasy XIV and what that will mean for the future expansion and how the development will change. So, first and foremost, let's go over what has been delayed. When the pandemic hit in 2020, the developers could no longer work at their workplace, so they had to work from home. What this meant was they had to create systems so they could actually share information that's otherwise only at the workplace, some critical information, some vital and very private information. As a result of this change, we lost our Halloween update and the patches were pushed back. On top of this, due to restrictions, fan festivals had to be canceled all across the board, and continuously, even now, they have to push them back, and everything now will be done digitally. So the big question right now is, what will that mean for future updates, and especially what will that mean for our expansions? Now previously our expansions were always announced about October to November. October for the first two expansions, November for Shadowbringers, and now we still don't have an announcement. They say the announcement will probably be about February 6th. Now the reason for this delay is they normally announce during the fan festival. They want to make a big deal of this announcement and they're not able to, so that does not mean the expansion was actually pushed back. Quite opposite actually. Something people don't think about a lot of times is when they start developing the expansion. If you listen to what the developers have said at times, they probably started development of the next expansion even before Shadowbringers was finished. Even while they're making the patches post-expansion, they are already currently working on the next expansion because they have to prepare for that one whenever they're making the one before. They have to know the next segment of the story before they know what they're finishing with the current story. Otherwise, they might hit a roadblock. So this means even while they're working on patch 5.4, 5.5, they're also working on 6.0. The work on the expansion is always continuous and they're always working on the next update. So when they couldn't work on the game at all, they're only losing a little bit of time they're working on the expansion. Now the reason we lost the Halloween update was because the transition period between workplace to home workplace happened to be the same exact time frame that they would be working on the Halloween update normally. This time frame also happened to be when they would be working on patches and polishing them, and these patches need a lot of polish to make sure they come out right, since we don't do test servers and stuff like that with Final Fantasy XIV. So a lot of work was kind of lost during this, but for the expansion, not a lot of work was actually pushed back. So now with all of that said, I'm just going to say it flat out, what you're all probably wondering and probably waiting for me to just shut up and say already. And that is, will the pandemic affect the release date of the expansion, or at least the content of the expansion? Probably not. We're probably safe in that department. The expansion will have over 2 years of work already put into it, and even though they couldn't work during that transition period, they could think, and creativity and thinking is the biggest part of these expansions. Then there's also the canceled fan festivals, which probably also kind of hamper work a little bit anyway, so probably the lack of these fan festivals will probably make up for the lack of work they could put into it. So you can expect them to announce that the next expansion will happen in summer 2021 when they finally announce it in 3 weeks. On top of this, due to the amount of work and time and effort and policies they put in place during that transition period, they are now more prepared if this kind of event happens again. So we have another issue with the game development. It will probably impact the development a lot less than it did this time. Well everyone, I hope this video has been informative for all of you, and I hope it also eased the anxiety on whether the expansion will be impacted or not by the pandemic. If you guys enjoy this segment, I'll be sure to do more of these kind of things in the future, so make sure you leave a comment if you liked it. And also if you have any questions about Final Fantasy XIV or anything you need guides on or just want to see, make sure you leave comments on that too. I do a lot of videos based on requests, but there's just not a lot of requests out there. Anyways, as always, this is Darius Skybound, signing out.